उमज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपकदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोः श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुन् वैष्णवंश्च। श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्णकरुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तुते। तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वंशकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानन्द श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवसादि गौरभक्तवृन्द। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। हरे कृष्ण। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। Welcome back. So, in our previous session, we have completed studying the first chapter of Bhagavad Gita. So, today we are going to start the second chapter, that is the contents of the Gita summarized. This chapter is popularly known as Sankhya Yoga. Sankhya Yoga, because according to Nirukti, that is the Sanskrit dictionary, it means Sankhya means which describes the things in detail, or which describes the real nature of the soul. And yoga involves controlling the senses. So, Sankhya Yoga. And in this chapter, in comparison to all other chapters, the Atma Tattva is described very elaborately. That is why it is known as Sankhya Yoga. Sankhya Yoga. Or aphoristic presentation of the scripture also is said by many people, many commentators. So we see it is, as it is said, the contents of the Gita summarized. So mainly Atma Tattva, and along with this, the art of action is, it is said, we will study later, that yoga karmasu kaushala, we will study this. That is the science of karma yoga, and buddhi yoga, that Bhagavan will describe, that when a knowledge based on knowledge, that is the analytical study that we will discuss in this chapter, as Bhagavan will discuss in this chapter, and we will study that. So the analytical study of body and soul, and the study of action, the art of action, And then Buddhi Yoga, that is action to please the God. That is action in real Krishna consciousness. So all these things will be described thoroughly in this chapter. Okay, so as we saw in the last verse of the last chapter, Sanjaya describes that Arjuna was speaking for the last few for the last few verses. Arjuna was speaking, and at the end he became so overwhelmed and almost decided not to fight, so he casted aside his bow and arrow and sat on the chariot. And the continuation of Arjuna's activity is described by Sanjaya here in the first verse of second chapter. Sanjaya Uvacha. Are you sharing the screen? Tam tatha krupayavishtam अश्रुपूर्णाकुलेक्षणं विषीदन्तम् इदं वाक्यम् उवाच मधुसूदन. Sanjaya Uvacha, Sanjaya said, Tam unto Arjuna, Tatha thus, Krupaya by compassion, Avishtam overwhelmed, Ashrupurna Akula full of Ikshanam eyes, Vishidantam lamenting, Idam these, Vakyam words, Uvacha said, Madhusudana, the killer of Madhu. Translation. Sanjaya said, seeing Arjuna full of compassion, his mind depressed, his eyes full of tears, Madhusudana, Krishna, spoke the following words. So, as Sri Krishna saw Arjuna in this mental state, that he casted aside his bow and arrow and sat down on the chariot, completely overwhelmed by grief and compassion and lamentation. So Sanjaya says, then Bhagavan started saying these words to Arjuna. So we see material compassion, lamentation and tears, these are all signs of ignorance of the real self. When we are not aware of our true nature, then we lament for the material gains and loss and everything. Compassion for the eternal soul is self-realization. The word Madhusudana is very significant in this verse. Lord Krishna, as we know, Lord Krishna killed the demon Madhu. And now Arjuna wanted Krishna to kill the demon of misunderstanding that had overtaken him in the discharge of his duty. So we see that Arjuna truly is not ignorant, as we discussed earlier also. So he knew it well that as a Kshatriya, it is his duty to perform this battle. And as he is so overwhelmed and lamenting for the results, for the unseen results of this war. So this kind of a misunderstanding which had overtaken his mind, he is aware of the fact. And he is not happy with his state of mind also. what is going on in his mind, he himself is not happy with this. So that is why he is addressing Sri Krishna as Madhusudana here, that as you killed the demon Madhu, so please clear the misunderstanding, the ignorance. Please remove these things from my mind and help me out in this critical condition. So no one knows where compassion should be applied. Compassion for the race of a drowning man is meaningless. A man fallen in the ocean of nations cannot be saved simply by rescuing his outward dress, that is, the gross material body. One who does not know this and laments for the outward dress is called a Shudra, or one who laments unnecessarily. Arjuna was a Kshatriya, and this conduct was not expected from him. Lord Krishna, however, can dissipate the lamentation of the ignorant man, and for this purpose the Bhagavad Gita was sung by him. This chapter instructs us in self-realization, analytical study of the material body and the spirit soul, as explained by the Supreme Authority, Lord Krishna. This realization is possible when one works without attachment to fruitive results and is situated in fixed conception of the real self. So as we will see, Sri Krishna will describe very clearly about the distinction of body and soul, the material body and the spirit soul. So until and unless we have the knowledge of our true self, as far as we identify ourselves with the gross body, lamentation, grief, and this attachment to this material world will happen automatically. So now we will see what Bhagavan has to say in this connection. So text 2, Shri Bhagavanuvacha Kutastva kashmalam midam vishame samupastitam anarya jushtama swargyam akirti karamarjuna. Shri Bhagavanuvacha, the Supreme Personality of Godhead said, Utaha, where from? Tva, unto you. Kashmalam, dirtiness. Idam, this lamentation. Vishame, in this hour of crisis. Samupastitam, arrived. Anaryas, who do not know the value of life. Jushtam, practiced by. Asvargyam, which does not lead to higher planets. Akirti, infamy. Karam, the cause of. Arjuna, O Arjuna. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, My dear Arjuna, how have these impurities come upon you? They are not at all befitting a man who knows the value of life. They lead not to higher planets, but to infamy. So Krishna and the Supreme Personality of Godhead are identical. Bhagavan, Shri Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that is why Shri Krishna is referred to as Bhagavan throughout. Bhagavan is the ultimate in absolute truth. The absolute truth is realized in 3 phases of understanding. And they are Brahman, that is the impersonal, all-pervasive spirit. Number 2 is Paramatma, that is the localized aspect of the Supreme within the heart of the living entities. That is why Bhagavan is known as Sarva Guhashaya. And Bhagavan, the third, Bhagavan, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna. In Śrimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 2, Text 11, this conception of the Absolute Truth is explained thus. Vadanti tat-tattvavidas tattvam yajnanada advayam. Vadanti tat-tattvavidas tattvam yajnanamadvayam. Brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavaniti shabdyate. Vadanti tat-tattvavidas tattvam yajnanam advayam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavan iti shabdyate. So the Absolute Truth is realized in three phases of understanding by the knower of the Absolute Truth, Śrimad Bhagavatam says. And all of them are identical. Such phases of the Absolute Truth are expressed as Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. Now, here in this purport, it is very beautifully expressed through this example of sun. So these three divine aspects can be explained by the example, which also has three different aspects. One is sunshine, number two, sun's surface, and number three, the sun planet itself. So the sunshine here represents the Brahman concept of the Supreme or Absolute Truth. Then the sun's surface is the Paramatma or the Super Soul concept, and the sun planet for the Bhagavan concept, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now, one who studies the sunshine only is the preliminary student. One who understands the sun's surface is further advanced. And one who can enter into the sun planet is the highest. Now, ordinary students who are satisfied understanding the sunshine, its universal pervasiveness, and the glaring effulgence of its impersonal nature, may be compared to those who can realize only the Brahman feature of the Absolute Truth. Now, the student who has advanced still further can know the sun disk, that is the Paramatma or the Super Soul feature. And the student who can enter into the heart of the sun planet is compared to those who realize the personal features of the Supreme Absolute Truth. Therefore, we see the devotees or the bhaktas or the transcendentalists who have realized the Bhagavan feature of the Absolute Truth are the topmost transcendentalists. Although all students who are engaged in the study of the Absolute Truth are engaged in the same subject matter, there is no doubt about it. Now, the sunshine and the inner affairs of the sun planet cannot be separated from each other. And yet the students of the three different phases are not in the same category also. Now, the Sanskrit word Bhagavan is explained by the great authority Parashara Muni, the father of Vyasadevaji. The Supreme Personality who possesses all riches, all strength, all fame, all beauty, all knowledge, and all renunciation. That is Aishwarya, Shri, Yasha, Aishwarya, Virya, Yasha, Shri, Jnana, and Vairagya, these six aspects. So we see in the material world also there are many persons who are very rich, very powerful, very beautiful, very famous, very learned, and very much. But no one can claim that he possesses all riches, all strength, etc. entirely. Only Krishna can claim this because he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. No living entity, including Brahma, Lord Shiva, Lord Narayana, can possess opulences as full as Krishna. Therefore, it is concluded in the Brahma Samhita by Lord Brahma himself that Lord Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and no one is equal to or above him. He is the primeval Lord, or Bhagavan, known as Govinda, and he is the supreme cause of all causes. Ishvara Paramah Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govinda Sarvakarana Karanam. Many personalities possessing the qualities of Bhagavan, but Krishna is the supreme because none can excel him. He is a supreme person and his body is eternal, full of knowledge and bliss. He is the primeval Lord Govinda and the cause of all causes. Reference Brahma Samhita 5.1. In Bhagavatam also, Canto 1, Chapter 3, verse 28, there is a list of many incarnations of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But Krishna is described as the original personality of Godhead, from whom many incarnations and personalities of Godhead expand. All the lists of the incarnations of Godhead submitted herewith are either plenary expansions or parts of the plenary expansions of the Supreme Godhead. But Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. Ete chamshakalah pumsaha Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam Indrarivyakulam Lokam Mridayanti Yuge Yuge. So, Krishna is the original Supreme Personality of Godhead, the absolute truth, the source of both the Supersoul and the impersonal Brahman. So, in the presence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Arjuna's lamentation for his kinsman is certainly unbecoming, and therefore Krishna expressed his surprise with the word Kutaha. As we see in this verse, Kutaha kashmalam idam vishame samupastitam. Kutasva. Kutasva. So, from where all this kashmalam idam, that is, all these dirty thoughts coming in your mind, as if as I am present here with you, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Absolute Truth himself, then also these kind of thoughts are coming in your mind. How can it be possible? So that is the purpose of saying. Now, impurities were never expected from a person belonging to the civilized class of men known as Aryans. The word Aryan is applicable to persons who know the value of life. So Arya, or the Aryans, are they who have progressive value of life. And they have a civilization based on spiritual realization. So persons who are led by the material conception of life do not know the aim of life in realization of the absolute truth. Because material conception means we are completely entangled in the matter only. So there is no question of aiming your life to spiritual realization. And persons who are led by the material conception of life do not know that the aim of life is realization of the absolute truth, Vishnu or Bhagavan. And they are captivated by the external features of the material world, and therefore they do not know that what liberation is. Now, perhaps no knowledge of liberation from material bondage are called non-Aryans. Anarya, that is why here Bhagavan is saying, Anarya Jushtam. So why are you behaving like the non-Aryans? As if you don't know the value of life. You don't know what the human life is meant for the spiritual realization. Don't you know that? So here we see Bhagavan is very mildly chastising Arjuna. In a very low dose, he is chastising Arjuna. Because they were very good friends, and moreover, Arjuna was a completely devoted soul. That is why, though he is chastising, but that is also in a very mild dose. So persons who have no knowledge of liberation from material bondage are called non-Aryans. Although Arjuna was a Kshatriya, was deviating from his prescribed duties by declining to fight. This act of cowardice is described as befitting the non-Aryans. Such deviation from duty does not help one in the progress of spiritual life, nor does it even give one the opportunity to become famous in this world. Lord Krishna did not approve of the so-called compassion of Arjuna for his kinsman. We will see when Lord will discuss elaborately in this chapter only. Bhagavan will say that as you are thinking that by killing the opponent party, the soldiers of the opponent party, we will incur sin. But the truth is that if you deny to fight in this religious war, then you are going to incur sin. Because if you are not following your prescribed duties as a Kshatriya, as a householder, and expresses your unwillingness to fight this battle, then it is actually the cause of incurring sin. So that Bhagavan will describe in detail also. Okay. So with this, we will move on to text 3. क्लैब्यं मास्मागमः पार्थ नैतत्त्वय्युपपद्यते क्षुद्रं हृदय दौर्बल्यं त्यक्त्वोत्तिष्ठ परन्तप. Klaibyam, importance, masma, do not, gamaha, take, partha, O son of Pratha, na, never, etat, this, tvayi, unto you, upapadyate is befitting, kshudram, petty, hridaya, of the heart, daurbalyam, weakness, tyaktva, giving up, uttishtha, get up, param tapa, O chastiser of the enemies. Translation. O son of Pratha, do not yield to this degrading importance. It does not become you. Give up such petty weakness of heart and arise, O chastiser of the enemy. So here we see Arjuna is addressed as the son of Pritha. Partha is the son of Pritha. But another name of Queen Kunti. Queen Kunti, who happened to be the aunt of Sri Krishna. She is the sister of Sri Krishna's father Vasudevaji. So we see Arjuna has a direct blood relationship with Krishna. If the son of a Kshatriya declines to fight, he is a Kshatriya in name only. And if the son of a Brahmana acts impiously, he is a Brahmana in name only. Such Kshatriyas and Brahmanas are unworthy sons of their fathers. Therefore, Krishna did not want Arjuna to become an unworthy son of a Kshatriya. Arjuna was the most intimate friend of Krishna, and Krishna was directly guiding him on the chariot. But in spite of all these credits, if Arjuna had a battle, he would be committing an infamous act. Therefore, Krishna said that such an attitude in Arjuna did not fit his personality. Arjuna might argue that he would give up the battle on the grounds of his magnanimous attitude of the most respectable Bhishma and his other relatives like Dronacharya, the teacher, and other kinsmen. But Krishna considered that sort of magnanimity mere weakness of heart. Such false magnanimity was not approved by any authority, because this kind of magnanimity showing of this kind of magnanimity is actually in the mode of ignorance. That is why Krishna is not at all supporting this. Therefore, such magnanimity or so-called non-violence should be given up by persons like Arjuna under the direct guidance of Krishna. So we know that it is a religious battle, a religious fight. This fight is against the irreligious behavior of the Kauravas, who has cheated the Pandavas, deprived them from their lawful right. So definitely it is a religious war, and if anybody denies to fight a religious war, he is actually incurring sin, and he is declining from his original prescribed duty also. So definitely Bhagavan is not supporting this, as we see here. That is why he is saying that Plaidyam masmagamaha partha naitatvayupapadyate. It is not befitting a Kshatriya like you. And moreover, you are my friend and my relative. So I cannot allow you to do this injustice to your status and on the whole to the community of the Kshatriya. So, okay, so for today, we can conclude here because the next few verses we have to study together. That is why we cannot move on to these. वंशकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Thank you.